Good evening, everyone. I'm Neha, Ambassador of Change from GETI, that is Global Education and Training Institute. And to give a brief about us, we will now play a video which I think will give you a gist about our organization and our initiatives. Good evening, everyone. Well, that was about us, and I hope our humble endeavors are much evident now through this video that was specially curated to inform our audience about our ventures and ideas. And today, to echo what was mentioned in the video about detox, that is disruptive talks, where we invite policymakers, educators, various researchers to discuss various best practices in education and surrounding topics. And today I'm very honored and thrilled to have with us Ms. Sania Dikshit, who is a third-year MBBS student from King George Medical Institute, Lucknow. And she's joined us today on the occasion of World Blood Donor Day, which I think is a day that countries observe to, raise awareness about pure blood donating, the act of it and what it does, how it impacts lives, how it saves lives, in fact. And Ms. Tanya will be touching that topic in detail and will be condensing her experience as well in this topic, which all of us have a very on the surface knowledge, but she'll be, taking us in deep with this. Thank you so much for joining us, Sania. A very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am elated, I'm thrilled, and I'm humbled to be joining hands with GETI. All of you're doing such a phenomenal job in educating and revolutionizing the whole framework of education in India. And it's totally my honor.
Thank you so much, Sania. And I'll put your presentation on, my screen, and let me, keep guiding me as to when you want to change it. Hi, Sania. I was saying that your presentation is on the screen. If you can see it, just let me know and keep taking us through it.
All right, can you please make it kind of full screen? Yes, perfect. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and once again, thank you so much for this very precious opportunity. Firstly, wishing all of you a very happy National Blood Donation Day. This is extremely special and extremely precious for me because I truly believe that each individual, more than just being one person, is defined by the legacy he or she leaves behind. And every time you donate blood or you donate organs or you do anything that lives beyond you leave behind a legacy of life. So in celebration of this day, once again, thank you so much for joining, and I hope I can do my humble bit in spreading a little word of awareness and just knowing the importance of giving back to the society. So can we move to the next slide? Thank you. So starting on this note, प्यार में जुनून है पर रक्तदान में सुकून है. Yes. So all of you must be aware of what we are going to talk about, right? But I would want to start this conversation on a slightly different note because I believe that precaution is better than cure. All of you must be knowing that the one arena for which the maximum amount of blood is required, the maximum amount of trauma happens, accidents happen to be on the road. So next, please. So I have a brownie tip for you with a little bit of love. Next. Which is that if you have to donate blood, do so, but not on the roads, please. So please drive safe because somebody waits for you back home. Next. Okay, so the whole crux of the issue is that why are people hesitant to donate blood? Why do we not? I feel that it is because there are a lot of questions surrounding the topic of blood donation, a lot of why, when, how. So these question marks are what are responsible to our hesitancy. Next. So these are the question marks that I'll try to decode for all of you one by one. Next, please. So the first question mark that we have is that where is the problem? Why is there a problem? Why is there a scarcity of blood? Well, it can be said to be for three primary reasons, which is firstly that the demand of blood in India is very high. The number of donors is low. And of course, there's a lack of infrastructure. We do not have enough blood banks. According to the WHO, for a country to be labeled as adequate in blood reserves, at least 1% of its population should be into voluntary donation, at least every year. Meanwhile, in India, as is written that less than 8 people per 1,000 population are voluntary donors, which comes out to be less than 0.8% of participation. So that is where the problem lies. Next. And this shortage can be met even if just 6% of our college going students or 2% of our youth decide to donate even once a year. And that one day per year can be our birthday. Isn't our birthdays all about sharing joy and celebrating life? So even if all of us decide to just donate blood to celebrate that spirit on one day of the year, there would be more blood than is even required in our country. And we can call this a day of gratitude. So let us just vow to celebrate our birthdays or whatever is that day when we feel the most joyful, when we feel an overwhelming sense of giving back. Let us celebrate it as a day of our blood donation. And I think that contribution would be good enough. Next, please. So why blood donation? Why do we need to donate blood? It is for this one very obvious reason, which is that blood cannot be manufactured. Next, please. And as I may say that blood does not grow on trees. Our medical science has progressed so much. It has found a substitute for almost everything. If your kidneys are not functioning, there's a dialysis machine. If your heart is not functioning, you have a pacemaker. But all these evolutions in science, mankind has not been able to discover a substitute for blood. Next, please. So it doesn't matter if you are rich or you're poor. If you need blood, only blood can substitute your blood. Next, please. So who are these people who need blood? Well, firstly, definitely accidents. About 5 lakh accidents happen in India every year, out of which 1.5 lakh people lose their lives. And the major cause of death happens to be blood loss. Secondly, it's childbirth. Isn't it staggering that about 2.5 crore childbirths happen in India every year, out of which a majority happen in rural areas, wherein the women are malnourished, they are anemic. About 14 to 15% of births require medical intervention. They end up being cesarean sections. And for each of these surgeries, to save the life of the mother and to save the life of the child, we need blood. Cancer treatments, not just cancer treatments, there are so many thousand surgeries that happen all across the country, be it surgeries of the heart, surgeries of the brain, and none of these surgeries can be performed without blood. And thalassemia. All of us, fortunately, we need blood, say once or twice in our life when we fall sick. But there are certain people who have to be on a constant supply, a constant dependence on outside blood. So thalassemia is basically an inherited condition, a condition of the blood wherein the hemoglobin that is produced is not adequate in amount. And they need to get blood transfusions done as often as twice every week in order to survive. So these are all the people who need blood, for whom we need to give blood. Next, please. So all of us often ask ourselves कि अरे अगर किसी के घर में किसी का एक्सीडेंट हुआ होगा, कोई बीमार होगा, तो उनके घर वाले दे देंगे, उनके रिलेटिव्स दे देंगे, हम क्यों जाके दें उनके लिए? So I want you to imagine, God forbid, if tomorrow your mom falls sick and the doctor tells you that you need to arrange 6 units of blood in half an hour. You look at yourself, you realize you are anemic. Your younger sister happens to be a minor, so she can't donate. Your dad, he just donated blood yesterday for your mother, so he can't donate. Your grandparents, they are too old to donate blood. Your friends, all of a sudden, they're not picking up your calls at midnight. So what do you do? That is where we need to put ourselves into the shoes of those who are suffering, which is called empathy. We need to be empathetic. And out of this sense of empathy, can we get ourselves to donate blood for people who we don't even know? Next, please. So, who can be a blood donor? You can be a blood donor if you are over 45 kgs in weight, if you are an adult, that is above 18 years of age, if your hemoglobin is 12.5 grams per deciliter. You can be a blood donor if you're not sick, if you don't have any infective conditions such as a cough or a cold, a malaria, dengue, so on and so forth. You can donate blood about 1 day after consuming alcohol and about 2 hours after consuming cigarettes. So it's very evident that you don't need to look like a Hulk. You don't need to look like a Superman in order to donate blood. Next, please. So I can say that heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Next, please. Now, when can I donate blood? Next, please. Every female can donate blood once in 4 months, and every male can donate blood once in 3 months. And platelets can be donated as often as every 48 hours. Next, please. So, what should I take when I go to donate blood? Please do not forget to take your any government authorized ID card. The best would be your Aadhaar card. And if you are on certain medicines, then don't forget to take their list or their prescription. Next, please. So, what are the do's and don'ts after donating? Well, keep yourself hydrated, because when your blood goes, when a certain half a liter of your blood is taken away, along with that, you also go into a state of slight dehydration. So keep yourself hydrated, and take proper rest. Please do not engage in any severe exercise, or your weakness may just exacerbate. Please don't drink alcohol, as I said, at least 24 hours before donating blood, and eat good iron rich foods. Next, please. So, how much blood will I give? On an average, in every blood donation, about 350 ml of blood is extracted. Well, the total capacity of your body, the total amount of blood in your body happens to be about 5 to 5.5 liters. So it must be very obvious that this is not life threatening, isn't it? Next, please. Now, how many lives can I save with one blood donation? You would be surprised to know that with every donation, you can't just save one life. You can save as many as 3 to 5 lives. Next, please. Next, please. And how is that possible? It is because your blood is separated into its various components, such as your red blood cells, your white blood cells, your platelets, your plasma, and each of these constituents can help different people for their individual conditions. Next, please. Such as if a patient happens to be anemic, he can get your RBCs. If a patient is undergoing chemotherapy, they can get your WBCs. If a patient is a burn patient, a trauma patient, he or she can get your plasma, isn't it? So that way, just imagine you are saving 4 to 5 lives with every blood donation. Next, please. Let's just skim through the next 3 or 4 slides. Thank you. So the next question, yes, so as I said, that makes you a hero. So not all heroes wear capes. Not all of them wear white aprons as well. Some wear jeans and shirts too. You don't need to be a doctor. You don't need to be a hero to save lives. Next, please. So the next question that we often have is, how long can the blood be used? Does it kind of expire in a few hours? Is it so? So no. Please, next slide. Yes, so RBCs can be stored in a refrigerator for up to 42 days. Next, please. Your platelets can be stored in an agitator for as much as 5 days. What is an agitator? It is basically a machine that keeps on moving your platelets, because if you just let them be, they will coagulate, they will settle at the bottom. Next, please. And your WBCs, they can be stored in a freezer for, your plasma can be stored in a freezer for as much as 1 year in a frozen form as a cryoprecipitate. Next, please. So what precautions should I take? Well, firstly, please ensure that the needle that is being used is a new and sterile one. Although that is extremely obvious in a metropolitan setting like ours, but maybe in the villages, in the PHCs, it may be something to look out for. So to prevent any kind of communicable diseases, please take this precaution. Next, please. Always before and after you donate blood, have a good nutritious diet, abstain from any strenuous physical activity, and drink extra fluids. If you feel lightheaded, just lie down with your feet kind of lifted above your head level, so that the blood supply to your head is enhanced. And if you experience any kind of a swelling, maybe in your feet or anywhere else in your body, just contact your doctor. All right. So a few more inhibitions that we had were during the pandemic. It has been reported that the blood donation in the past 2 or 3 years has decreased detrimentally. So we must know that if you have contracted the virus, you can donate blood 28 days after recovering from it, even in the absence of a negative RT-PCR report. And if you have a negative RT-PCR report, then you may donate blood even 14 days after recovering. And that should also not deter you from availing blood, because the virus, it just vanishes, it just becomes incompetent in the matter of 14 days in a donor's blood. Next, please. So how long does it take for our body to replenish donated blood? It doesn't take very long. It takes 3 months, out of which your RBCs need 4 to 6 weeks, and your plasma and platelets can be replaced in just 48 hours. You know, our body is a very smart machine. It knows how to regain whatever is it that is lost. So we need not worry for it. It'll take care. Next, please. So, how will blood donation benefit me? Well, it has a number of benefits, out of which, for me, the most important would happen to be it elevates your mental state. Right? You get a sense of fulfillment. You get a sense that you are serving a larger purpose, and that really kind of it lifts your spirits. Apart from that, it is not such that um, it decreases your immunity. In fact, it would help in strengthening your immunity. Your bone marrow would just produce more cells, and that would put your whole body stress management system at test, and that would be a good replenishment for your body. All your blood cells would be getting reproduced very fast, and so that would be a great replenishment. Apart from that, it would keep your iron stores under check. It also is believed to decrease the risk of cancer and heart attacks, and very, very useful. It acts as a free health checkup. I don't know why in India we don't have the concept, the trend of getting ourselves tested every few months. We only approach the doctor when it's just too necessary, when बिल्कुल जीने या मरने वाला सवाल होता है. But at least through this excuse, you would get the vitals of your blood checked. Next, please. So as I said, the biggest benefit of blood donation happens to be, as the advertisement says, कि करके देखो अच्छा लगता है. Because if you are a blood donor once, you are a lifesaver for life. Next, please. So if I happen to be anemic, and this is very, very prevalent, I think all the ladies on the chat right now, including me, a good majority of us must be anemic, and we don't know it, and we don't do much about it. And that must be one of the very latent reasons for our weakness, or the lack of our concentration, the lack of our productivity and efficiency in life. So how can we increase our hemoglobin? The best sources are green leafy vegetables. If you happen to be non-vegetarian, then all kinds of meat, red meat, poultry, eggs, they happen to be brilliant sources. It is said that tea and coffee, they cause a kind of a reduction in the absorption of iron. So if you can, just try to decrease your consumption of tea. But honestly, all these methods, they don't happen to be very sustainable or very practical, because you can't really cut down on your tea or coffee consumption. So the best method happens to be just taking supplements. There's nothing wrong with taking iron and folic acid supplements. That is really going to help you maintain a good health, not just so that you remain healthy, but so that you can share that gift of health. Next, please. So another con that many of us have is that, do they sell the blood and make money? Most of these blood banks, they're governed by NGOs and government. So then why isn't blood available for free? Why do they charge for it? Are they selling blood? Next, please. Well, that is because there is a cost to store and transport it. We just read that once your blood is taken, it is processed into its different constituents such as RBCs, WBCs, platelets, and plasma. Then it is tested for being safe and disease-free. It is stored in a refrigerator or a freezer or an agitator, and it is distributed. even at midnight, in fact, just 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, if a hospital needs blood, then the blood bank should have a steady supply of blood no matter what hour it happens to be. So, for this entire process, it happens to be a very costly affair. And for that, that is the charge being taken. Just because they're called blood banks does not mean that they are dealing in blood. They are making a business out of blood. They are just getting, say, a compensation for facilitating the whole process. Next, please. So, every time you get a message saying that someone needs blood, just think that that someone might be a baby blessed to parents after 10 or 12 years of prayers. That someone may be someone's mother. That someone may be someone's loving wife. It's only when you develop a connection of blood, if it's only when you develop a connection of emotion that you would be motivated to develop a connection of blood. And truly, the bond of blood, as I said, is the dearest bond. That is the closest and the strongest bond. Next, please. So another kind of excuse that people have is that my blood group happens to be AB negative. So there are not many recipients for it. It's a rare blood group. So is it even going to be worth it? Firstly, you can donate blood of any blood group and it may be appropriately exchanged for blood of the desired blood group. And I want to ask you, in case any of you have heard of it, have you heard of Bombay blood group? Well, that happens to be the rarest blood group. It only occurs in, say, under 10,000 people in India. So unless your blood group is that rare, it's not rare enough. No matter what type you are, you can always choose to be the type who wants to save lives. Next, please. And don't get upset if your crush doesn't like you back. At least your blood is somebody's type. Find your match. Next, please. I'm extremely sorry for this, but I hope I can drive the point back home. क्या मेला नाजुक सा बदन कमजोर पल जाएगा? Well, no. I want to tell you, every mother, every woman, when she gives birth, on an average, loses about half liter to 1.5 liters of blood. And she recovers like a phoenix, doesn't she? So 350 ml of blood for somebody who's healthy, somebody who is above 45 kgs of weight, it is not going to do you any harm. It's only going to do you good. Next, please. So, Bart le bande. Next, please. So the following were my references. Next, please. So this is not, ये धमकी नहीं है. Keep calm and donate blood. Next, please. And be a bloody legend. No pun intended. Next, please. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much, Sanya. That was a very informative presentation, and I like the various puns and social media references that you've thrown in between. I think you made that considering that our most of our audience are children and young children and teachers trying to inculcate the habit of children donating blood. So thank you for that. I have one question in the chat. Would you like to take it?
Sure.
It's It says, I wanted to know how often can I donate blood? I think you covered it, but if you would like to, reiterate it for our audience member who has asked this question on YouTube.
All right. So thank you for the question. Thank you for being attentive and interested. Well, if you happen to be a male, you can donate every 3 months. If you happen to be a female, you can donate every 4 months. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a good answer. And also, I wanted to know something on a personal note. Is that if if I'm on some sort of medication, or what are the kinds of medication that prevent me from sort of donating blood, and how long should I wait if I'm on certain medication, or maybe before donating blood or while donating blood, if if that question makes sense. I don't know. This question just popped in my head for some reason. Okay.
Well, that is something very arbitrary. It's best if you ask this question to the particular doctor where you are going to donate blood. But I need to
Okay.
tell you that it's only certain drugs, say drugs of if you're undergoing any kind of a cancer treatment or any kind of an infective condition, which may be slightly toxic for any
Mhm.
normal recipient. Otherwise, if you take your normal medicines, such as supplements, nutrition supplements, or even
Okay.
diabetes or hypertension medicines, as long as
Okay.
your sugar and everything is controlled, they're not
Mhm.
going to deter you from
Affect
donating.
affect my will to donate blood. Perfect. That's a very beautiful answer. Thank you. I had a very strange doubt, so thank you for clarifying it, and thank you for joining. But before you go, for our little audience, students and children, young children, maybe just reiterate the idea of promoting the idea of donating blood for them in a couple lines if you would like, non-technical but just something motivating so that we can end this day, that is the World Blood Donor Day, on a positive note maybe.
Well, Neha, the irony is that I am also extremely afraid of donating blood. I've only done it
Yes,
once.
that's a point I wanted to highlight, but I thought I might look very dumb while doing so, because that's something that's a very, I think a very primal scare to, I'm scared of the needle. So if I'm scared of the needle, and as much as I want to donate blood, this is something that, comes in between of donating blood. So, if you can touch that topic also,
Yes,
please.
yes, yes. As I said once in between as well, that the only emotion that can bring you to donating blood, it can be that
Mhm.
of empathy. हम लोग
Absolutely.
को ऐसा लगता है कि अरे क्यों करना है, क्या ज़रूरत है इसकी. कभी
Absolutely.
अगर गॉड फॉरबिड हम पर आएगी तो उस दिन देखेंगे. बट सच ये है
Mhm.
कि जिस दिन हम पर आती है, अगर हमारी फैमिली
Mhm.
में कोई बीमार होता है, तो तब हमें सबसे ज़्यादा इस बात पे गुस्सा आता है कि कोई क्यों नहीं डोनेट कर रहा है ब्लड.
Absolutely.
कहाँ से
Absolutely.
लाएं हम. जब आप हेल्पलेस फील करते हो, जब आप पर बीतती है, तब आपको समझ आती है. सच ये है कि हमारे यहाँ शायद यही स्टैटिस्टिक मैंने पढ़ा था कि हर 2 मिनट
Mhm.
में किसी ना किसी को ब्लड की ज़रूरत होती है.
Okay.
तो जी, तो अगर हम यूथ, जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि हम साल का एक दिन बस सोच लें कि हम न्यू ईयर के दिन, क्रिसमस के दिन, दिवाली के दिन, जिस दिन हम खुश
Mhm.
महसूस करते हैं, उस दिन हम
Mhm.
ये तरीका सोचें अपनी खुशी बांटने का, तो कितना अच्छा रहेगा. क्योंकि अगर हम किसी को खाना देते हैं, if we
Mhm.
give food, we just give someone a meal. But if we
Absolutely.
donate blood, we give someone a life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And I think everyone who is watching and who will eventually watch will take away some sort of inspiration that our dear guest Sanya has tried to, imbibe in us, considering, the beautiful day that we are celebrating today. Again, we're doing the same thing that everyone across the world is doing right now, spreading awareness and trying to reaffirm our pledge towards, donating blood and saving life. It's something, that in the grander scale of events will, I think, make a difference in our lives and in the lives of people who,
Thank you
whose.
so much, Neha. Thank you so much, GETI, for this opportunity. As I said, this is very close to my heart and this is very precious. And even if we could get one person to be a little less intimidated of and a little more keen to donate blood, we would be successful. And that includes you and me. And I'm sure
Absolutely.
I go back with a lot more sense of familiarity, a lot more sense of willingness to just give back.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing your values. Thank you for sharing the tough statistics, and thank you for also giving us actionable steps at the end of the day. And I think World Blood Donor Day has been well celebrated, and I think we have, to the best of our understanding, raised some awareness towards it. And thank you so much, Sanya, for joining. And I really hope to see you again, talk about various other pressing issues, and see you again. See you soon, maybe. See you
Thank
again.
you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Neha.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
evening.
you.